Hello, everyone. I'm Alessandra Cannelli, TESOL Italy's second vice president, and I'd like to welcome you to this session of the TESOL Italy 48 convention. Certificates of attendance will be available to download from the convention page of the TESOL Italy website after the convention. Our speakers today for this session are Manuela Kelly Calzini, Lucilla Lopriore. Lucilla Lopriore is well-known professor. She is a qualified teacher educator, both in UK and USA. It was an EL teacher, school teacher until 2000, professor at Roma Tre University until 2021. She was former TESOL Italy president, TESOL International Directors Board. Research projects in which she was involved are Enrich, ELI, eCoast, and she is a course book author, researcher in ELF, CLIL, Italian L2, and teacher education and young learners. Manuela Kelly Calzini is a senior academic at Trinity College London, Italy. She is an experienced teacher and teacher trainer, speaking mainly in English foreign language education and CPD programs. Manuela is an ELT author and contributes articles in teacher publications. Her main research interests are young learners, communicative skills, and performance-based assessment. The title of this presentation today is Promoting Continuity Between Primary and Secondary Education, Insights and Strategies. Lucilla and Manuela, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alessandra.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Just a technical question. Is it confirmed? Can participants join in our chat?
Of course.
Oh, yes, they can. Okay. So hello, everyone. Please, if you want to greet us also in the chat, say where you're from. We will try to make this talk a bit interactive as well, as is the nature of all our workshops and talks, and Lucilla will confirm that. I'm going to share my screen now, and there you go. There's the title that Alessandra has just announced, and I'm very honored with me today to have Lucilla, who has been working very closely with Trinity College London, Italy, and myself on this project, which is promoting continuity between primary and secondary education, and that includes lower and higher secondary schools, of course. And so I'm not going to tell you everything now, but I think I met Lucilla back when she was TESOL president, so many moons ago. We were trying to count the years the other day. I think it's nearly very close to 30, but not quite. And only recently we've actually discovered a passion that we both share, which is vertical continuity. And I think we both really believe that it is with continuity that we really can make a shift in the learning language outcomes, especially in the Italian school system, but I think even more general, actually. So without further ado, I'm going to go straight in. And Lucilla, interrupt me.
Yes.
Please
okay.
add whenever you feel it appropriate.
Sorry to interrupt you. It's just to say that, unfortunately, the chat is disabled. So maybe they would write in the question and answer section.
Okay, so do please comment in the question and answer chat, even if it's not a question, okay? Because we're going to ask you right now, just to type in the Q&A, what is continuity for you? How would you, in one sentence, describe continuity? And we'll give you some time just to do that. So Margherita has been able to chat in the Q&A. So Margherita, what is continuity to you? And maybe while we're waiting, Lucilla, you can share with our participants also where your passion, where your drive for continuity comes from.
Yes, I wonder, because I can't see the Q&A here. Maybe I don't have access to that. But I think that even if they write a few notes, if they have my same problem, they can write a few notes and then we can share later. Anyway, yes, the drive for continuity, because this is something that became a sort of obsession for me, because I spent 28 years teaching in schools. And I noticed that there was no relationship between one level and another, but not only in a vertical way, but also in a horizontal way. But I'm sure that whoever is listening now would agree and would have had the same feeling. Because it is always so frustrating, first of all, for the learner, to hear the teachers repeating things they already heard the years before. There is a sentence that is usually repeated when learners go from primary to middle. Di nuovo I colori, again colors, you see? Because nobody builds on what has already been achieved. So to me, this has always been a worry, a concern, and that I shared with whoever I was working with, mostly because I've been teaching when I was at school, in secondary schools, in vocational schools in particular. So I don't know.
I'm not sure what's happening in the Q&A, but
yes, it appeared, but there is no risposta.
I'll keep an eye on it.
Margherita, yes, now I saw the Q&A. Yes, Margherita Fasella.
Yeah. And so, but keep that thought with you. What would, what does continuity look like in your mind? And as I go through these couple of examples that Lucilla and I think that really illustrate what continuity should be. So here we have a secondary school student who explains that she's studied the following topics on several occasions. What Lucilla was saying, oh, not my family again, not hobbies again. Or maybe, yes, we can talk again about hobbies, but
yes,
there are different light. And maybe with different language expressions or idioms. And then we get a boy in the scuola secondaria di primo grado who explains that the easy readers that he read, that he's reading in middle school, were similarly used with a whole class in his primary school. And 6 other pupils in the group are in the same position. Is this?
Can I briefly come in here, Marianne, because there are two, Manuela, there are 2 people. One is Margherita and the other one is Mariangela, who intervened on your question. And Margherita said, possibilità di proseguire, di imparare, senza salti che rendono troppo difficile, impossibile capire. Yes, avoiding those cognitive voids where the teachers start a new topic without having sort of checked whether everything was clear to everybody. So sometimes learners feel lost. But Mariangela also adds, it's not just a matter of repeating topics, it's working towards the same goal and developing learning. I can repeat colors in different ways, in different contexts. So thank you both, Margherita and Mariangela, because they started immediately highlighting the issue.
Yes.
So, Manuela, that's just
Yes,
to keep
thank you, Mariangela, for echoing that.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we mean, and it's not so for granted. We give that for granted, but actually, very rarely does the lower secondary school teacher take into consideration what has been going on. Yeah, we have those meetings. There are some meetings, I think, in not all schools, but most schools now have comitato di continuità, and so you do have those meetings, but they actually don't go into the detail as these students are going into. So I think when we were discussing what is the effective transfer between primary and secondary school, it is topics and texts that we build on them. We build on those topics, we build on those texts to learn more. And the more we learn, the more we want to know, and the more we want to say about maybe that topic. And the same with skills. I think it's developing the skills I'm already using, I'm already putting into practice and performing, and understanding, going deeper. I think it's about, this is about good practice, good teaching, and also the pace and style of lessons. Maybe we can become a little faster, or maybe we need to slow down to go in more detail and focus more on a concept, for example. The concept of time, which is something very different if we compare time, English, how we perceive time, and how Lucilla might, in the Italian context, perceive time. So that's where we started. And
Yes.
I think this comes from Lucilla's work, and so I'll let you comment on this.
Yes. Two things have already emerged quite clearly from both the comments the two participants made and what Manuela has just said, that yes, it is a matter of topics, themes, but what emerges is the how, the way, and the rationale for example, engaging learners in dealing with topics that they have already addressed before, but in a different way, with a different, for example, cognitive approach or emotional approach. And it's the way, because it's not only learners who complain about always the same stuff, but it's also the teacher repeating endlessly for years things that she or he never sort of she's never challenged to change. So here there is a sort of representation of what we might define the vertical continuity in our schools that goes from kindergarten, primary, middle school, up to high schools and vocational and lycée. But at the same time, we've got a horizontal continuity. That is, within those levels, there are aspects that are shared features of continuity. And here we've got, for example, if you look at the first step, emotions, cognitions, approaches, oracy, the language of schooling, English, assessment, self-assessment. And here you see that these, except for a few changes, are always repeated. So these are features of continuity that constitute the horizontal continuity. That is, it's not only the teacher of English or the teacher of maths or the teacher of Italian. It's something that learners should appreciate, whether they are studying French, English, maths, or whatever. and it's in terms of cognitive development, approaches, and types of assessment and self-assessment. You might have noticed that in the last section, the highest one, CLIL has been added, because CLIL, which is now being introduced at primary level and infant level, remember that, is now going to be something that might change from primary to middle to high school. So we need to focus on continuity also on what starts earlier. And I think we can move to someone we are familiar with, and the familiarity is with Pippi Longstocking, the famous protagonist of Astrid Lindgren's books. I was going to say, I used to read them as I was a child. No, no, no. I used to read them to my children. So that's why I know that. And we always loved Pippi, and we loved watching also the videos. And there is this sentence that comes from Astrid Lindgren's 1999 book, when Pippi says, "Oh, what? It was awful fun, jolly, to come to school to find out what it was like. But I don't think I care about going to school anymore. It makes me dizzy in the head. I hope that you, teacher, won't be sorry." So you see, Pippi is famous because she always speaks out, says what she thinks. We would like to have students like Pippi, amusing, but at the same time challenging. So students' learning environments often change during the school career due to school transitions and the introduction of educational innovation. Just think for a moment, for example, now that CLIL will be introduced also at primary level in infant schools, or when foreign languages were not taught at primary level. There are innovations, changes, and these need adjustment. And this might cause this discontinuity in teaching and learning, because here we're talking about continuity, but there is also something that interrupts continuity. It creates discontinuity. Success of students entering a new learning environment depends in part on their prior expectations of education. Why so? Because their perception later will be highly influenced. So we mentioned discontinuity, and Manuela is going to tell you something else about why are we worried by discontinuity, which is what breaks continuity.
And I think just before we move on, I love this quote by Pippi when she says, it makes me dizzy in the head. I would have loved to have asked Pippi, what was it that made you dizzy? You know, what was it, all those repetitions? But I think it's exactly what Margherita and Mariangela both said about that, developing on the topics, but being aware of those cognitive loops and gaps.
Yeah.
And not making them too dizzy because it's too complicated. It becomes too difficult, and then they switch off and decide
and they
not
don't
to come.
make sense to the children.
Exactly. So so what we did was we collected, and we will be telling you what we've done all through 2022 and part of 2023. We started at Trinity College London, Italy, with a course that was we actually started in September with a shared webinar with me and Lucilla for the European Day of Languages, and where we launched a questionnaire to all teachers in Italy on continuity. And following that, Trinity College London offered a free course that was also on Sophia, and it was three afternoons where we talked about shaping continuity in language learning. And what we'll be telling you later will be also what came out, what were the outputs of that course. But the first thing that we did in that first webinar back in September 22 was ask teachers, so what is it that creates discontinuity? And by collecting their comments, both from the questionnaire, but also in the various interactions we had with the teachers, these things came out. Well, the first is, in the past, there was a drive also from floors, I piani alti, as you say in Italian. There was a drive, there was a push for continuity, because let us remember, istituti comprensivi were established for this reason, to have this continuum and not work in separate silos. So, but now we seem to have forgotten it. When I speak to people from the ministry, I always say, oh yeah, continuity, we've been talking about for 50 years, but we're still struggling. Class size often comes up. Numbers of teaching hours. Apparently, the teaching hours are perceived as not many. But when Lucilla and I went and looked how many hours, we actually don't, they're not that few. There's quite a lot of hours, but it depends what we do with those hours and how we build on from the previous cycle. This fact that we change methodology every year and changing teacher, perhaps we can't do much about changing the teacher, but maybe we can work on sharing methodologies, approaches between cycles. Of course, we know about that. We've all been there. Resistance to change, especially if you're my age or older, we get set in our ways. But I think also one of the positive aspects of the pandemic has made us change and has shown us that actually, you know, sometimes some good things come from change. Boredom, like lack of interest of students, course book limitations. Very often teacher came to us and said, but how can I build on the primary, because in the first year of the book I can't do the past, or I can't do certain things. So perhaps we should look at how we use the course book. Is it a prescriptive recipe, or is it more as a menu to use? And yes, there is a tendency, we are all aware of leaving no one behind and we sometimes fill our mouths with this word inclusivity, but let us remember that is very important, and we focus on that, but we mustn't standardize our classrooms because we are not all the same. We are humans, and one of the peculiarities of being human is that we are all different. And my grandmother would say, thank goodness. The lack of communication between colleagues. Now, that's a big one. Yeah, Lucilla, we've heard that again and again, where even under the same roof, even in the same, building, and often, thanks to Trinity, because I've had to go and collect the fees for the exams, I'm now talking to the primary school teacher, or vice versa. So very often it's not the unwillingness to communicate. Sometimes it's a lack of opportunities, lack of opportunity to actually be able to stop and talk to the primary school language teacher. Classroom management is a big one, because until recently, we never saw this this section in teacher training courses. You had teaching speaking, teaching reading, teaching writing, all the skills, a bit of assessment, but very rarely you find a unit on. You used to find a unit on classroom management. I think now it's more a focus. It's more on the page. And yes, a tendency, especially where I work at Trinity College London, there's a tendency to enter students all at the same level. Yeah, or I'm in a terza media, they're all doing grade 4, or I'm in quinta elementare, they're all doing grade 1. But I'm sure grade 2, sorry. I'm sure that in quinta elementare, you will have the majority of the class being able to do a grade 2, which is an A1. But you might have somebody that needs a lower exam because they're lagging behind a little. And so the recupero, that there's an opportunity for them to demonstrate what they know. And what about your excellent students that are actually exceeding and going beyond, you know, that they're delighting the teacher with their motivation, their talent. And so you're at least 3 levels. We're working with 3 levels, if not more, I think even more. And so these were, you know, the big issues that came from our discussions. And from this conversation, we decided, Lucilla and I, that it would be a good idea to set up a SIG group, a special interest group. And I'm so grateful to Lucilla that she helped me all through last year to actually initiate the group. And I'll leave the floor to you to tell
this
how we
special
did that.
interest group is something that we haven't got a tradition of in Italy. Special interest group is more common in northern countries, or if we talk about English language group associations, for example, in IATEFL, it's full of special interest groups. Maybe because there are different traditions. And let's face it, sometimes in Italy, we're a bit individuals. So we tend to, well, okay, oh, well, another meeting. But it's quite interesting because it's a community. Within, for example, it could be a larger organization, as TESOL Italy could be, a group that has a shared interest in advancing a specific area of learning or technology, where all members cooperate together, put their heads together to produce solutions in a particular field. So they might carry out small-scale classroom-based research studies, and they may communicate, meet, and organize regular meetings, face-to-face or online, seminars or conference. Is a bit what I'm going to talk about this at 6 o'clock with 2 colleagues. It happens in advocacy, which is not very diffused in Italy, but has got something similar. There is this need to work together and share. So a special interest group can be a group of teachers and on a specific areas, on a specific approach, on plurilingualism, for example, now, or on the use of CFR, which is not easy to handle if you don't discuss it with your colleagues to see different points of view. It has a structure, clear objectives, and it's a small group in charge of organizing activities, and all members participate and learn how to investigate. Again, you see what we mentioned before earlier on. There is this learning also how to research our own work. This is a sorry, a powerful way to develop teachers' agency, the ability to manage and control what is happening in your own context, but also learning from each other, which is something that hopefully you can mirror in the work you do in the classroom with your students. Because what works with us works as well with the students, because it makes sense of what we're doing. I think then we can move to what
just to add
yes,
how we transfer this into Trinity's continuity SIG. We started in September with the first
October,
meeting.
yes.
in October, the first one, and we met once a month, every month of the school year, right up till May.
Right.
And then we shared this idea of sharing, bringing ideas to the SIG. Takes a while. Teachers come to the web, or used to coming to a webinar, and it's not just, it's a workspace. It's creating that safe place and that opportunity to talk to other teachers from different cycles. And so we looked at some transition material like bridging activities, and some teachers actually did try things out in their classroom. You know, the word research often scares people off, but actually, you know, you identify a problem in your classroom, you try out something your colleague has suggested, and then you report back what happened. We do that every day, don't we?
And also, may I just briefly come into that, Manuela, to say that the two of us very often were sort of pleasantly surprised by teachers, colleagues who brought up things we had not thought of. And this is the power of working in groups. One person triggers someone else's thoughts. And if we put more effort on that, it would be such a very good approach also with our learners. But we need.
I think that there were some very powerful moments that triggered off ideas, and you know, we started getting excited, and
we were learning as well.
So we'll be inviting also those who are listening in this afternoon to join us as of January. And so I mentioned an initial questionnaire which Lucilla I delivered online. 68 teachers from out of the 71 that were part of the SIG group actually did the questionnaire, and so we've selected 3 slides because of time that on the key findings, but we are in procinto of publishing the digital companion on shape and continuity, which includes the results of that survey. So if you are interested, please drop us your email in the Q&A box, and I will make sure that you get it in your mailbox. It's being launched now, and so within days it will become available. So I'm going to ask you.
Let's show them. Very well. This is to give you the idea of the age of the age of the learners, of these teachers who responded. You see, they are equally distributed between primary, middle school, and high school, which gave us the feeling that the findings that were coming out would have been sort of balanced, so we could have a view of. If you can move to the other one, the second one. We picked up only 2 questions to look at. We thought that it would have been interesting to find out preliminary, not just asking them what continuity is or not, but what they felt that they believed was the most important training they needed, the most needed training, and what did they come out with? Look at the green columns, which are the most needed. Well, they mentioned developing learners' speaking competence, developing learners' lexical competence, developing learners' listening competence. So this is mostly needed by teachers. And this tells us a lot, because this is an area which is still a bit shaky. So it needs reinforcement and scaffolding. But also they mention raising my learners' self-assessment awareness. So they understand that what is important is the value, how they perceive the value of self-assessment, but also learners' intercultural communication skills. So these are emerging topics, but at the same time, training needs, perceived as training needs. In the following question, we had asked, obviously, what does the term continuity within your educational context mean to you? Because we had different educational contexts. And here again, the most important are the yellow ones, and they indicate methodology, learners' progression, and learners' achievement. You see, continuity is what it reinforces and scaffolds learning progression and achievement. But, and this is quite important, this is language teachers' collaboration within a school, collaboration among colleagues, not silence among colleagues. So these are, we thought it was worth sharing with you. And here, Manuela, you can say something about the
Yeah, I think that this one, I mean, developing the speaking lexical, yeah, this is all we expect that kind of answer. But I think this intercultural communication, but also self-assessment,
awareness, which is not how to develop self-assessment, but awareness.
Awareness, and
this means they are collaborating with the student.
There's a study with in Iran, in a language setting, where 58 students, that they were the sample group, and they were given self-assessment tools compared to the other group, and it shows that if you become good at self-assessing yourself, you increase in self-efficacy and self-confidence. So I think it's something that we should be exploring a bit more in the future.
And teachers understood that. That's why they asked for help.
Yeah, and this is, as we say, we're at work. It's not a webinar to come and sit or take notes. And, you know, it's something we're working on. It's work in progress. And in the next SIG meetings, we started towards the end of last year thinking of a manifesto created by teachers that are working in today's classroom, and so they are aware of all the issues and problems, and coming together, maybe not with their colleagues, but with other teachers that are working in the cycle before or after where they are teaching, and so it's a very interesting group, and it's very practical, and in the publication that's soon to be launched, you will also, we will also make available the bridging activities for English language learning that are aimed at facilitating the transition from one cycle to the other. And hopefully in the new SIG meetings, we'll have more teachers sharing their ideas, and these activities will grow. And these bridging activities fulfill a social function, because it's about cooperative learning, cooperating with the primary school or cooperating with the secondary high school to help to get to know students and teachers in new classes. And surprisingly, Lucilla and I were both surprised that not many teachers use them. They do the accoglienza, but that's different. It's not collaborating with the other.
And then they stop. Yeah.
And so you'll find there are now 4, because it has taken time and effort from the teachers and getting them all ready for you, but they will be, you will find them in our publication. And as of this year, we also talked about, of course, the Trinity's learning pathway, using the exams as benchmarks, and so that the teacher in the next cycle can build on what the students know. And what better than a CFR aligned exam to do that. And this year we've actually added to our ISC exam, the blue ones, the 4 skill exams, an A1 4-skill exam, because students are wanting to write. They come with that expectation. And as you can see here, the CFR has 7 levels now, if we can, with the new pre-A1 descriptors, and Trinity has 12, because we really believe in that mixed blessings, I call them, and mixed talents, mixed abilities, mixed paces, so that there is a level for every student, an exam for every student, and not every student for one level or for one exam. This is what it looks like, just to give you a taster. This is the cover, the digital companion cover, and at the back of the volume you will find the lessons, and something that Lucilla has worked on, very interesting, a questionnaire that will show you how to, if you are driven by continuity or not. Do you want to say something about the questionnaire, Lucilla?
Yes. Well, the questionnaire actually, it's partly based on this type of questionnaires that have already been done also in other contexts, like, for example, CLIL, where we build up questions based on teachers' perception of how close they are to this idea, for example, of continuity. At the beginning, my view of educational continuity in teaching, and we ask them to indicate what you regard most important, and we offer them a set of statements. It was not easy to build it up because it requires thinking the position of these teachers. Like, to me, educational continuity in my teaching is, for example, linking what learners already know with what they are going to learn. Or, for example, continuity promotion at school. To me, educational continuity in teaching is represented by, but within the school. And then there are the continuity statements that relate to the different parts of our job. When we start a lesson, what type of activities we do for listening, for speaking, but within a continuity outline. There was a question here. Yes, actually, someone wrote. Yes, there was, and I would like, before we finish, because I was afraid it was going to be cancelled in the question and answer. Alida Zambernardi, she says, I am a teacher in pre-primary school and I'm trying to work in continuity with the teachers in primary. It is not always easy, unfortunately. We
1 minute left.
Huh? Yes, thank you.
1 minute left.
So, Alida, we perfectly understand, and Manuela has already written to you asking you to join. Yes, this is the last part of the questionnaire where you might fill in how many answers you make you really continuity ready or keen on. So it will be up to you to fill in the questionnaire because it follows you in your own teaching.
Yeah.
So I think that time is over, right? I'm sorry.
I think the questionnaire will help drive our conversations in the SIG, and we invite you all to join Lucilla and myself in the next series, which we will start again on the 22nd of January. And by
a TV series, eh?
Sorry?
Like a TV series.
Yes. Like a TV series. No, it's a very safe space where we can talk together and we can make a difference. We can make it happen if we, take the opportunity of working together for 1 hour, once a month, talking. Just talking helps generate ideas. And as Mother, I love this quote from Mother Teresa: alone we cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. And I hope that Lucilla and I is exactly that. We've done that last year. And so we are looking forward to this year to casting other stones and creating more ripples. Thank you for listening.
Yes.
Thank you, Lucilla. It's been an honor to talk
Thank you,
with
Manuela, because it was quite an adventure, but we managed.
As always.
Okay, on behalf of all TESOL Italy's presidency and all the community and members, thank you for your talk. And later on, I'll give my testimony on what I experienced with Trinity in my school, secondary school, Istituto Comprensivo, using Trinity as a continuity tool. So next to be continued, as says Lucilla.
Yeah.
Like in a series, as we
We invite you to our first SIG, Alessandra.
Yes.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Thank you for attending. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.